Hi guys, Rose here with the Cackling Moon, and this is going to be a response. Ugh, my butt's hurting me. I'm like been sitting here for the last, I don't know, half hour. um, I'm gonna be doing a video response. Well, not a video response. I guess it's like an ask response to my Tumblr. I received a question by an anonymous person, and it says, "Hi. So I guess what puzzles me the most as a tarot newbie is when I get cards that don't seem to make sense for their position. For example, getting a Three of Swords in the advice position or getting a Nine of Swords for a position that should have indicated what are the aspects that are working for my benefit. I've also considered giving my deck a good old cleansing session, of course. But things like these really puzzle me. So I thought that it would be really cool to do a video or no, well, I guess it's a video response to you of some advice with this because this does happen. And you can definitely do a deck cleanse if you feel like your deck needs to be cleansed and whatnot. It should be cleansed if you're using your deck a lot. I like to cleanse mine, when I have the time, when I think about it. But simply putting the cards in order, you're cleansing it. So whatever way you feel works for you, go ahead and do it. But I totally get this question because this does happen, and it's kind of unnerving. Like when you're ready to pull the advice card over, you want to get something positive like the sun, but that doesn't always happen. So I pulled out this is the Nine of Swords. So we'll talk about this one first. So you said, in the position of what are the aspects that are working for my benefit. So the Nine of Swords, how is the Nine of Swords working for your benefit? Well, if you look at the card, the Nine of Swords is typically it's about being restrained, being held down, tied down to kind of your thoughts, because the swords is typically like your thought process, your mind. It's also integrity. So how this works to your benefit, sometimes you can read this as someone being dishonest to you. How would that work in your benefit? Maybe you have the sense of knowing when somebody's not being honest with you. Maybe you also have the power of restraint. So you have the power to kind of hold back when you want to lash out to somebody who's either being dishonest with you or being inappropriate or being downright rude and nasty. Maybe you have the patience. So you can look at this as that. You can look at this as you have the power to kind of keep control over yourself and your emotions and your tongue, because I'm sure there's times where you want to just lash out and tell somebody how it is, but you don't. You hold your tongue because you know you need to be professional in the situation, or you know you need to just let it go, forget it, turn the other cheek type thing. So you can look at the Nine of Swords like that too. Definitely. You can look at the Nine of Swords as having patience, having the power to kind of keep yourself in line, to keep yourself restrained, to hold yourself from being inappropriate back to somebody who's being downright foolish. How else could we see this as a benefit? We could see this also as a benefit of holding on. So let's say it's a love reading and this card came up for that purpose. For those of you who are waiting to get married before you actually do the deed, the Nine of Swords can show that you have a lot of strength to kind of hold yourself down and hold yourself back from doing something morally that you feel is not right until the right time. So the Nine of Swords doesn't have to be a negative card. It doesn't have to be looked at or read as a negative card. You can definitely read this card in a positive. But you can also definitely read it as a negative too, which I think a lot of us do because naturally the swords cards are naturally kind of complicating or challenging cards. So it's normal to see it as a negative, but it doesn't always have to be looked at like that. It could also literally show you have a lot of power, you have a lot of strength, willpower to hold on, to hold back, to hold yourself back. Now for advice cards, I pulled the Three of Swords because you asked about this one. How can this be a good advice card? So let's say you're doing a relationship reading and the Three of Swords comes up. This Three of Swords can indicate maybe a red flag, like, hey, you should be paying attention to this other person in your life. There might be something that they're not being truthful about. This can be the indication of, yeah, the relationship may not work out the way you want it to, so kind of get prepared for this. The Three of Swords can also give you advice on guarding your heart. It doesn't have to be looked at as betrayal or hurt, heartache, and pain. It can also be looked at as it's time for you to really guard your heart and be more aware of people taking advantage of you, and mistreating your love and your attention that you give them. So this, as an advice card, can definitely mean that too. But it doesn't have to mean it doesn't have to mean betrayal, cheating, broken heart. It can mean being stronger with your heart. The swords within your heart can show strength, that your heart has gone through a lot, that you have a lot of strength within your heart and the kind of love that you deliver to people because of all the past events that you've been through. So Three of Swords does not have to be a negative. You could definitely be saying, like, as an advice, like, keep hanging there, stay strong, or guard your heart. Like I said, be protective of it. Or it could also say be wary of the person that you're dating or the person that you're seeing or the situation. Something might happen, so just be wary of it. Start realizing the red flags when they start happening, that type of thing. It really depends on the question, and it really depends on the person that you're reading for, or if you're reading for yourself, the situation that you're going through. I also pulled the Tower because this is another card that as soon as people see the Tower, people think, oh my God, bad stuff's gonna happen. The Doom card, No, it's not. If a Tower card comes up in your reading as advice, it can definitely indicate the need for a shift. I always think of it as we go through life problems, we go through situations, we go through challenges and obstacles for a reason. And sometimes it's necessary to go through these changes or to go through this crappy time because something amazing comes out of it in the end. And it's all of what you make it. So the Tower doesn't have to be looked at as a dooms card. It can definitely be an exciting an exciting card. I actually like when I see the Tower card come up because it tells me, okay, I'm going to have to be doing something with myself or with my life to make a change or make a shift happen for a change to actually start happening. So it might be I'm too comfortable in my situation and I need to start thinking about rocking the boat a little bit to make waves. That's all that the Tower card can mean. It can also, yes, it can be an indicator of something maybe negative approaching, a big life change happening, but that's a part of life. And you have to understand that life is going to throw you curveballs for a reason. We are not always going to be on the perfect path to happiness. There's going to be obstacles and there's going to be challenges, but you have to understand that obstacles and challenges are what grows you and it develops you into something bigger and better. So if you guys watched my previous my previous video about the cackling moon in my shop and all of that, and I mentioned how I used to be Luna Hour and I went through some, crazy stuff and drama. But in the end, I created the cackling moon, which has been just the best decision I ever made. So we have to sometimes go through crap to gain a plus in our life. And sometimes that's what the Tower card means, especially as advice. It's like, hey, kind of saying, hey, you're getting a little bit too comfortable, so just watch out. Something's going to happen to kind of rock your world a little bit to kind of get the ball rolling again. So don't be afraid of those cards, you guys. If you get advice cards that are typically a negative card, don't be afraid of it. Look at it in the positive light. Like, what is necessary to take place? What is necessary to happen for something positive to take place afterwards? Okay? So thank you guys. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. I love answering your guys' questions, especially when it's about tarot. So I hope that this reading, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying I hope that this reading, blah, 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 because I do my readings on here. But I hope that this video answered your question or kind of gave you a little bit more of an understanding. But if not, leave me another ask and I can see what I could do. See you guys later.